Right guys, a bit more rambling bullshit from LSD. This time Weihruach HW97 full strip. The way I do it may not be the way it should be done, but it is what it is again. So this gun's not in for coating, it's customer's gun that's come in for a tune. So it's going to get a little bit more care than the last video I did, because we don't want to scratch it. Again, I'm presuming you've got your stocks off. This is just non-stick rubber meshing available on Amazon, and I'm using my little magnetic tray in this one just to catch all the bits. So first thing, stock off. Now again, I've replaced the rear trigger guard bolt. I've put it back into the hex nut so we don't lose that pesky hex nut. So stock off. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cocking arm out, which is retained by this pin. Now I've got a piece of my rubber meshing, and I'm just going to wrap it around the cylinder. Follow me. So we're now in the shaft jaws on the vise. I've clamped it near the end of the compression tube in the loading gate, because there's no give damp, so you can clamp it nice and tight without fear of crushing your cylinder. And I'm going to loosen it, give it its initial tap with a tapered punch. You find with a tapered punch you can get a little bit better purchase on your first hit. I'm just going to come at it then. I'll put my fingers behind to catch the pin, couple of taps, and out comes the pin. That can go in my tray. Now from here, zoom out there, depress your detent that locks the arm up, and bring the arm upwards and out of the comp tube. Set that carefully to one side. So we're now going to go the other side. This is your bear trap unit. This is machined 13mm. So take a 13mm open-ended spanner and release. At this point nothing's going to give, nothing's going to shoot out. Now when you take this out, there is a thick spacer or washer. Don't lose it, you're going to need that when you put it back together, or it's not going to go back together very well. And then your bear trap, that comes away. Some people discard that. Some people have fucking sore fingers from discarding that. So it's your shout. Now from here, I can leave it in the position it's in the vise. Once again get my tapered punch, and I'm just going to tap till I get a little bit of movement on that, and the same on that. Parallel punch, put my fingers behind again, catch the pin, top that through. Now when I go for the back one, I'm going to once again, I know you can't see it from here, but I'm covering the safety catch and keeping it in position. When I pull the trigger out, I can let go of the safety catch now, but the safety catch is under tension from its spring, so it can ping out and the springs are a nightmare to find again. Once again, cock your trigger and leave it in the cock position until you've finished your tune or whatever work you're doing. Now at this point, your trigger block, these can be tight, especially on a new gun that's never been to pieces. I'm not going to leave it in this position in the vise because that can end in tears. So I'll loosen the vise. Now I want to grab it around the flats in the vise. So put my rubber back on. I'll bring the camera back in a second. So I'm on the flats of the receiver and I want to be tight. We can now take any form of large flat tooling. This is an armourer's wrench and plenty of pressure, and that should break. Now if you try to hold that on the tube, it's not going to happen, it's just going to spin. You need this 100% solid so there's no movement. If you struggle with this, and I'm not going to show you how to do it on the video because I don't like doing it, you can put your bar in, you can take the gun out of the vise to allow the shock to work, and you can smack it as hard as you can with a hammer just to break the seal up here. This will fly out across the workshop, probably impale the missus or smash the TV up if you've got a TV in a workshop, but it will break it. Another method, if you're strong enough, is to over tighten it slightly. So stretch the threads. Check before you strip these that it's not got a square section spring in it, or that this isn't overly tight, because that could mean, I'm just going to take out the safety catch and spring. That, as you can see, I don't know whether you can zoom in onto it now, I'll leave it like that. That's not an original spring, that looks like a biro spring that's been crudely hacked because the spring was obviously lost at some point, and it's an aftermarket brass safety, which I don't like. I've seen them fail many a time. That won't go back in. So as I was saying, if this feels under a lot of tension, or you've got a square section spring in here, there's a good chance there is a lot of tension in there. But with a factory gun, or one that's had a decent tune, there's nothing like the old days of preload. So you should just be able to unscrew that and off it comes. Just get your punch or a screwdriver. You can take the spring out. On this one, ooh, it's got a lovely piece of shit in there, and PCFE topper, which all that will go in the bin along with the guide. Shouldn't really need a piston sleeve if you've done your tune right and everything's machined up and central. There's the piston, and then out comes your comp tube. So when you take your comp tube out, you may as well, for the sake of a couple of quid, I just have a sharpened, where's it gone? Sharpened piece of stainless steel. I basically rotated that on a grinder cutting stone to make it sharp, and get in there, dig that into your comp tube seal, and out that comes. That's flat, that's knackered, and it's discoloured. And like I said, about a fiver, if that, sub in that. Piston seal. That's all you need to do on the gun. You've got a right good clean. Put that somewhere safe. Now your piston, I'll bring you back in a sec. Now this piston seals looks pretty new. I'll check the hands for any sign of tears. Yeah, I think that's knackered. So anyway, it'll be getting a new piston seal. I've got a very sharp, thin, flat blade screwdriver. Keep your fingers away while you're doing this. I'm just going to dig that in, and I'm going to prise it back to get it round the front, and just take that off. Once again, for the sake of a few quid, the chances of sticking that through your hand, which I've done many a times, it's not worth it. Just put a new seal on it. We have plenty in stock. Now on this one we'll be machining the piston, putting some Darwin bands on it. Same with the comp tube, this will get shortened. Some bands, new spring, new guide. The block will get some work. When it's all rebuilt, hopefully, or should I say when it's ready, I'll do a bit of it going back together, but in the meantime,